Welcome to another episode of Music Musings. I'm your host, Derek. With me is Pat. How are we doing today, Pat?
Good. We're approaching spring. They said something about a snowstorm, and it seems like it's not happening. So I'm excited. I'm excited. No more cold weather. Here comes spring. I'm ready. I'm hyped.
I didn't even know about this snowstorm you're speaking of, and I don't
Yeah.
want to.
Yeah, you know what? That's great because people at work were talking about it, and I was like, no, let's not put that. We just got over one 2-3 weeks ago, and I'm finally starting to see the ground. Let's keep it that way.
If there's another snowstorm, I'm going to move to the desert and just live
like
there.
Mexico. Yeah. I think I co-signed that.
I'm not doing this anymore. I'm sick
No,
of it.
me neither. Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah, I feel spring coming. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
People are outside. People are running. I see a lot more dogs outside, which is great. Always great for dogs. So
yeah,
we're real excited about it, and I can't wait. More shows, more concerts coming out.
Yeah. All the festivities, all the bands playing outside. I love it. It's gonna be wonderful. I love that.
So here's to warmer weather and no more snowstorms.
Oh yes, I will. Yes to that. Cheering with a LaCroix, by the way.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that.
Hey, thank you.
So let's jump into what we always talk about first. Your recent musings.
Mm-hmm.
I can go first because it's pretty similar to last week. It hasn't changed that much. Olivia Dean, still listening to her.
Okay.
Really like her sound, so still about that.
Mm-hmm.
Logic, haven't gotten over listening to all of his music yet, so I'm still in that phase. And then with him is Connor Price, which, is like the imitation, but, it's fine. There's some good jams by him.
Oh, yeah.
And
I like him. He's good.
I'm going back to Two Door Cinema Club. Because I haven't listened to them in a while. So
indie. Yeah. Can never go wrong with them. That, oh my gosh. My favorite song is, I think it's Sun. I think it's on their second album. Yeah, it's such a great track. Great tracks. Great. They're just a great band in general. I'll stop there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Period.
It's amazing. Oh, man.
What about you? What have you been listening to?
Oh, so, okay. First off, I've been still listening a little bit of the Bruno Mars. I'm trying to let the romantic, trying to let it marinate a little bit more in my mind. I think I still have the same exact opinions, but I enjoy it so far. I've been kind of really locked into Something Serious, Cha Cha Cha, and God We're Showing Off. Those are common in my rotations, but I'm vibing with that. Lately, I've been going back into my early 2010s as well. I've listened to Kid Cudi. I don't know, something about The Man on the Moon and The Man on the Moon 2. It's just those albums are like, I guess, defined my 2010s music. So I've just been vibing with that lately. And we're gonna get into the 1975 in this episode, but I've been listening to The Neighborhood again. Obviously, the recent album, I've been letting that marinate, as well as I've been going back to some older tracks, and just they were my band for the 2010s. I don't know, I just can't stop listening to them. And last but not least, always a goodie. You can never go wrong with Al Green. Just pure 70s soul, fantastic singer, just great vibes. And that's just kind of like what I've been listening to for the past week.
All right. Yeah, Al Green, The Neighborhood, very eclectic, different sounds there, but
yeah,
love it.
Yeah.
2010s. What can we say? 2010s were a great time. So
They were some of the best bands, artists, in my opinion, that are like that I listen to and I've been fans of from the beginning of their career to now. I'm just so happy to see, different people from across all genres reach so many different amazing heights with their sound and their artistry. And obviously we're going to get into one of them today. And that's the, like, for me, that's why, like I said, the 2010s was like a very important time frame for music for me. But I'll save that for another episode.
Yeah. So today, I mean, I actually am really excited for this topic today. We are going to spotlight and talk about probably, arguably, one of the best and biggest pop rock bands of our generation, our times, the 1975. It's probably one of my favorite bands, if not my favorite band. And I know you also really enjoy them as well.
I do. Yeah.
So we're going to dig into, how they formed, some of their biggest albums that led to their success, and then some of the big things they had to do in terms of just moves they made in the industry to really make them successful and who they are today. So I'm just excited to talk about them. And I've been listening to them. I mean, I listen to them every week, probably. But I've been listening to them more specifically for this episode today. So I'm just very excited about it.
No, they are. And I'm excited too. As we, obviously, if we had to say your favorite bands of the 2010s is this band and mine was NBH Neighborhood. I've heard of 1975 and I've heard a couple of their tracks, but for the past couple of days, I've been listening to it to get a little more, familiar with their music. And I'm over here just hearing all these inspirations. We'll obviously get into that. I'm so excited, but it explains that I'm and the only thing I am so guilty of is I wish I got on the train much sooner. That's my only regret.
Well, you're on board now, so.
Yeah. I got a ticket. I'm good.
So let's jump in first to how they formed and when they formed and kind of how they started. So, the 1975 from the UK formed in 2002 when they were just teenagers, and they met at Wilmslow High School in Wilmslow, and they started playing music together. The original lineup was Matt Healy, who lead vocalist, rhythm guitars, and main songwriter. Then you have Adam Hann, lead guitar. And then you have Ross McDonald, who is the bass player, and George Daniel, who is drums and synth pad production. So more of the kind of electric sounds also in the background. So, they formed in the UK, and this began with Adam Hann, who he wanted to start a band to play at local, teen gigs that were being organized by town council members, which is interesting. So Hann recruited his school friends, Matt Healy and Ross McDonald, and they began rehearsing together as teenagers. Now, I think Matt was the youngest of them all. So when they first started, he was probably only 17 or so. And originally, Matt Healy was actually the drummer, not the singer, which is interesting because I actually didn't know he could even play drums.
That's amazing.
That's pretty cool. But yes, he was the drummer because the band did have a singer before him, but they decided, that singer for whatever reason either wasn't good enough or whatever, didn't mesh well with their group. So when that singer left, Matt became the lead singer while also playing drums at first. And if you've ever tried to play the drums and also sing at the same time, it requires at least 3 brains in your head. So if you don't have 3 brains in your head, I don't know how you can do that.
Yeah, I was reading about that. I was like, that's amazing to originally be the drummer and they say, you know what, I'll be the lead vocalist. That means that there was immense talent recognized in the beginning of their I'll not say the career, but at the beginning of the formation of the band, and that was a wonderful and wise decision.
Yeah.
Mm.
So, but later they kind of realized, Matt couldn't do that. Not that he couldn't do it. I just think it's a very it's a difficult point to be the lead singer and also be the drummer, unless you're Phil Collins,
Hey, shout out to Phil.
Yeah, not many people could do it. So shout out to Phil Collins, okay? If he's listening to our podcast.
If he has a moment in his busy schedule, that would be fantastic. By the way, I love everything you did with Tarzan. I'll just say that. You defined my childhood.
Shout out to Phil Collins. Okay. So anyway, later they found George Daniel, who joined as a drummer, which allowed Healy or Matt to focus on singing and guitar, which then kind of wow, I can't speak today. Solidifying, right?
Solidifying.
Yeah. What am I saying?
It's okay.
Solidifying.
Hey.
Thank you.
It's all right.
I'm gonna leave that in too. We don't edit anything here.
No. Music. 100%.
Solidifying the lineup that still exists today. So those original members, all of them are still in the band today, which is pretty wild because many bands don't really last that long, or they go through rotations of members, and it's maybe the only lead singer who's left after 10 years or so. So it's pretty crazy that all the original members are still there.
That's amazing.
So that's how the band formed, and before they were popular, they played a lot of little pubs, bars, some like town showcases. They weren't huge yet, right? And before they actually named their band in 1975, they had a bunch of different names that they were playing with. And these are some examples that they actually used. So Drive Like I Do, Talk House, Big Sleep, The Slowdown, and this interesting one, Forever Enjoying Sex.
Yeah, that's an interesting titles. Yeah, 1975 was the right decision.
And here we go. It's not really an interesting way of how they actually found or came up with this name, the 1975. And it was really Matt Healy who created the name. So it came from, he found a used copy of a book on the road while they were like touring or just playing around. And inside the book, he found a handwritten note that had a date on it. And the date was June 1st, but then it said the 1975. So Matt thought this phrase looked mysterious and artistic. So he decided to adopt the name the 1975 as their final name.
That is amazing. That's interesting because I was thinking about that, and then I did some research, and I found out, actually, believe it or not, in the 1975 was actually the pivotal year in Hollywood, where they started giving a lot of directors that were like indie and up and coming like directors and artists and creative writers to give them opportunities to write new and rebellious artistic narratives versus the norm. So we're talking about like the Scorseses, all these famous directors and actors that were like doing avant-garde versus, the usual narrative that they would want to speak. So I think like that 1975, because that was like that year was like the pivotal change in a lot of music, art, and movies. So I don't know if that was intentional, but it was definitely a wise decision because it kind of like speaks into their band's like imagery, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the research that I found just based on what either Matt has said in interviews, it just kind of sounds like he found this note in a book and thought it sounded cool. So he just decided to go with that.
Hey, yeah, it does sound cool. It definitely does.
You never know. Maybe there's just something he's not telling us that might be more behind it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's true. But you're right. And I think it's a good point. And I do like that name versus the others that you listed. So
yeah,
that's just.
So, that's how the band formed, came up with their name. And it sounds like typical teenagers who are somewhat musically talented are bored and they're going to go around, their town and some other neighboring towns and just playing shows, right?
Right.
And then we get into, their breakthrough. And what's interesting about the 1975 is their first debut album that pretty much launched them globally, like immediately. So they had success from the jump, which is extremely rare and doesn't happen. But here's a band that, and I think we can talk about this a little bit later. I think what helped them is they knew what their sound was pretty much right from the get-go. Like they knew their identity, they knew their sound, and you hear it in their first album, which I think is pretty incredible, especially for, like I said, Matt was 18 when this album came out, and the rest of them were around the same age, like 19, 20 maybe. So these are young guys who immediately had global success. Doesn't happen.
No.
So, 2013 was their breakthrough, which was also the release of their debut album, self-titled, 1975. And it defined their early indie pop, 80s influenced sound. And I mean, I can listen to that album all the way through. Every song on there is great, but some of the key songs, and I think some of the bigger songs on there is Chocolate.
I like that. That was a good
Robbers.
One. Especially, that's a personal favorite.
And Sex. All of those are huge songs that have had, again, global success. And they still play these songs today. And people still lose their mind anytime they play any of these songs. So I think, this album is important. It established their sound, which, 80s influenced, but had atmospheric guitars, very introspective lyrics, and it just had their whole aesthetic of what they wanted to sound like, again, just right from the get-go. And that just kind of set up their success of what they were going to do for the next, I mean, they're still going 13 years later. They're still playing.
Right.
So, that's incredible to just do that off the bat with...
Yeah. Their debut.
Right.
Debut plus at, like, as soon as you hit adulthood, that is amazing. I love that, and the fact I personally, like I said, I think Robbers of the first album was my favorite. I like that song. Chocolate is cool too, but I like Robbers the most. It's interesting to hear like that from the beginning. They're like, we're gonna take the pop punk sound, mix it with 80s synths and pads, and obviously you can hear a little bit of the Prince in it. I heard the layer of inspiration of Prince in there, and I was like, oh yeah, these guys, they have it, they got it. So I like that that they were like, this is the sound, and we might evolve, but this is going to be the base or the core of their sound, and I like that.
And I love that they built off of that. So in 2016, they came out with their next album, which is titled I Like It When You Sleep, For You Are So Beautiful, Yet So Unaware of It. Which, is an extremely long title for an album, but
yeah,
yeah, they can do it.
They could.
They can do whatever they want. It debuted at number 1 in both the US and UK. And they pushed their sound in this album. So it was much more experimental stylistically. And they had some key songs on there. Again, Love Me, The Sound, Somebody Else. And I think this album really showed that they were more than just, an indie pop band. They were able to blend some elements of like funk, synth pop, and more straight driven, some rock. All those elements they can mix in there really well. And here's another album where they're, again, not only are they pushing themselves, but they still sound like who they are. They didn't go too far. It's still them, just a little bit more complicated.
Correct. And if I might say, this is the album that, I'm sorry, the single Somebody Else is the song that really put them on the map for me, listening wise. But ironically, when I hear Somebody Else, it sounds like a softer version of this, like, and I keep referring back to The Neighborhood, as there's a song called Afraid, which is kind of similar messaging in the lyrics, and the tone is similar, but the tone is different. Same message, different tone. And the 1975's one is such a, like, if I had to be honest, I prefer their message versus my favorite band, Afraid's version, because it's more melodic. It's much more like, there's more, it's bittersweet, which I love that about it. And versus the Afraid is like raw emotions and, a little somber and a little sad. Whereas the 1975 is a bittersweet, melancholy. Like, I love that about that track. But so that, I just wanted to clarify that album I think is really great. It's really great, but I think that song is what definitely hooked me to be like, something about these guys. They got something here. They got something here.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you have a song like The Sound, which is just a straight up pop song. And then you go into a ballad like Somebody Else, and both of those songs are just incredibly good. That takes real skill to make both of them, both those styles as good as each other. It takes real skill, and you have to really know your sound and your ability to do that. And I think, again, that's why they're so talented, is because they know what they need to sound like. Period. So 2018, 2 years later, they come out with another album, A Brief Inquiry into Online Relationships. Again, key songs here.
Unique.
Love It If We Made It. Sincerity is Scary. It's Not Living If It's Not With You. Now, I will say, I think out of all their albums, this is probably my least favorite one.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not about it. Not that I'm not about it. I mean, I think it's a good album. And I do like It's Not Living If It's Not With You. And I Love It If We Made It. I think those are two really good tracks.
Yeah.
But I think all the other tracks on there are like good, but I have a lot of other songs from all their other albums that I think are a lot better.
Okay.
Which is interesting, because when I was doing my research, a lot of people consider this their like most favorite album and most influential album
from them.
Yeah, because it is, it tackles a lot of the songwriting, tackles a lot of topics, internet culture, politics, addiction, media overload, which I guess put them into the spotlight for one of the biggest bands of, the late 2010s. But sound-wise, it got a little stagnant. Like, I didn't enjoy it as much as the other albums. So I don't think it's a bad album. I just don't think it's not my favorite.
Gotcha. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any songs, or what do you feel about this album?
About this album, I will say I haven't really listened to all of it, but I think, believe it or not, Love It If We Made It, that is in my rotation. And it's such a wonderfully, like, I personally like the live version of it, not the recorded. And it feels so powerful. The messaging is powerful. The vocals from Matt is fantastic. I think that is probably my favorite song from that album so far. I prefer, obviously, the one before that came out in 2016. I think I know more about those tracks, but this one, I think, Love It If We Made It, it's one of the only ones I know, but it is definitely a very powerful one for me. I like it the most.
Yeah, I mean, some of these songs are fantastic, but it's the album as a whole for me isn't just wasn't doing it.
I get you.
Compared to the other ones. So so that was 2018. 2020, they came out with another album, Notes on a Conditional Form. Now, this album was much larger. It had 22 tracks.
Ooh, that's a double.
Yeah. And usually when artists do this, like they have an album that has 22 tracks, I worry. I worry a lot because
I agree.
It's usually not good. Like, it's usually they're just throwing out stuff that they had like on B tracks, or they're restoring that they wanted to try, and it's like they're seeing what sticks. Again, I think this is a good album. Really? It's not up there, but it's not bad. I think they did a good job for having 22 tracks on an album. The album covers a lot of genres, but some of the bigger songs on there, we have People, If You're Too Shy, Let Me Know, The Birthday Party. But, here's an album, they were very, they wanted to go after it, ambitious, but it's also a chaotic album. Like, it kind of jumps all over the place. The songs, there's no cohesive theme through it, but they're definitely pushing their limits. And I think the genre that they're trying to, people are trying to box them into, they're pushing that limit. So
okay,
it is ambitious, and I respect what they did, and I think it's a good album for something that has 22 tracks on it. So
that's impressive. I think I'm gonna have to personally give us a listen, especially. You know me, I'm not gonna shy. I love it when artists or bands get experimental and they try a different variety of things. So for me, especially if it has garage, and ambient and house, that's kind of pretty much my wheelhouse. So I'm gonna have to really do a listen right after this podcast, and next week I will gladly give my updates and my thoughts. But this so far, I'm excited. Now I'm hearing this. I like what they do already. And if they trying that's immediately, I guarantee I have to listen to it. Yeah. This is amazing.
And then we get into their next album, 2022, Being Funny in a Foreign Language. Now, this is probably one of my more favorite albums. I think under their debut album, it's probably this.
Yeah.
And interesting, this album was produced with Jack Antonoff, who, if you don't know who that is, he played with Fun, guitar player, also I think piano, keys. But he's also produced a lot of music with a lot of big artists. He's written, produced for Taylor Swift, Lorde, Lana Del Rey, Sabrina Carpenter, Florence and the Machines, Kendrick Lamar. Like, he has produced and songwritten for a ton of people.
Sounds like this guy is amazing.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing, is what it sounds like.
Yeah, if you're with all those names, you know what you're doing.
So he wrote this album with the 1975, and obviously it did really well. Big songs from this album: Part of the Band, I'm in Love with You, About You. But I really like this album. It's such a refined version of the band. Like, they have matured at this point. They experimented with different genres, but eventually they come back to their true, indie pop rock sound, but more mature and redefined. And I really like that. It's kind of come full circle, and this album really showcases that.
Yeah. I will say the probably the most popular song off that album, About You, is such a... I got goosebumps listening to it, and it is it gives chills in such a beautiful way. And for the, obviously for the whole team, and, Matt doing an incredible job on the vocals, it was fantastic work. I think this is, in my opinion, it's kind of like Somebody Else has always been like the song I think of with them. Hearing About You, it's like almost right there. It's almost, in terms of like impact listening for me. But, I don't know how everybody else feels, but I think that was a very wonderful song, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think for me, it's Somebody Else, Robbers.
Yeah.
Maybe Love It If We Made It.
Chocolate. You know what? You're right. I got to rethink my list. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, but I think About You is definitely up there with those songs. And I agree. I think it's the emotional depth, but also the arrangement and the sound itself really pushes that song to an emotional breaking point, which is something you want to do, I guess, when you're songwriting.
Yeah, like it was the vocals was like, it felt cinematic. The production, there was I heard a little bit of like low pass filtered. That's a term that I use personally in house music. So I know like the production was like stellar, like very, very like well done. And I was talking about this a little bit at the pod before, was I was getting a little bit of a hint of David Bowie's song As the World Falls Down. Like just the way how David Bowie approached the song is what I was feeling from Matt. So that's why I was making that connection. But it is a great track, phenomenal job, and everyone involved. They knew what they were doing, and they delivered.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, having that ability of Jack Antonoff on the album, because there's elements also he put in there of, strings. In Part of the Band, like that song, you have those the staccato strings, really adds emotional depth that without that creativity, I don't think would have been there, or it wouldn't have come through as much without that. So it was a great, like you said, team effort. And I think having Jack there as a second pair of ears probably, and also his ideas really pushed this album and refined their already great sound.
Agreed.
So let's talk about some of their influences that have kind of shaped their sound. And there's a lot, and I'm probably not going to I'm like looking at my list here of all the bands. I'm not going to get through it. I'm just going to talk through maybe some of these. I think the bigger ones. Because there's a lot of elements of any genre, or a lot of genres, that have influenced their sound. So I'll just start with like 80s pop. You have artists like Prince. The melodic synth heavy driven sound definitely comes from Prince. Also there's elements of like the grooves and the funk that will appear in some of the songs. And that's definitely a key in from Prince. But also like Duran Duran. I think it's more an aesthetic, but just the production value and like how polished it can sound is definitely an element from like Duran Duran that can come in. And then I'm thinking also in that same realm, Tears for Fears.
Oof.
The songwriting component and the emotion behind it, along with their big synth sound that kind of helps carry it along. I think those three really, in terms of just the songwriting and emotional depth, kind of pull or have influenced that element of their sound.
Agreed.
And then I'm thinking about, other genres, indie or alternative rock. I think these sounds have definitely influenced like the guitar element in terms of the tone. So I'm thinking about Radiohead with their, experimenting with sounds, and the atmosphere that their guitar tones present has definitely helped shape their sound, along with the Smiths with the lyrics, melancholy, like you said before, and they're like, sometimes it's like the rhythms of their guitar is a little janky sometimes. And I think that's a key in from like the Smiths and how they use their elements of their guitar and the rhythm. It's not always straightforward. Right. So I think that interesting element adds to, their own sound. And then we get into like, there is some elements of like even R&B and soul. Michael Jackson, I'm thinking of like the bigger songs, like the sound with that hook in the chorus where it's just repetition over and over again. Michael Jackson did a lot of similar things in that element with his big pop hooks and the structure of his songs. It's very similar to what the 1975 does. In terms of how they hook you in as a listener, and then they just keep reeling you back with those big choruses that they'll have in their songs.
Yeah.
And then I think going back to like their earlier sound, like even the demos that the 1975 came out with prior to the first debut album. Like there was a song called Milk that was on a demo, and it was a precursor to the song Sex, which is interesting. But it was a very different sound. It was very guitar driven, and I think because Matt Healy has talked about this, he's influenced from Blink-182, which was interesting because I never would imagine Matt Healy for some reason listening to Blink-182, but he did. But it had that like, that pop punk energy,
right?
Which there's elements of that I still think in some of the songs and albums they have today, but not as much, because I think they've really refined their sound to not be so guitar driven. And rather more emotionally driven, I would say.
Right.
But it was there at one time, so it was definitely an influence.
Yeah, I think it was a good idea. I was listening to another song. Like I hear a lot of Prince with a psychedelic like guitar, like rhythms, riffs, and I hear it. And then there was another song, If I Believe You, it was on their second album, and I was listening to it, and it has so much like R&B like vibes, and I was getting like a gospel inspired like the choir layered vocals. It was just like fantastic. It had like a gentle mellow halfway through the song is like an organ, a soft organs or a pads. I'm not sure which one it was, but it was like very low, and his vocals was just right above it, and it just like it was like a perfect pocket for Matt. And I think it's just hearing all of these inspirations. It makes a lot of sense to who they are, but they're such a like they're so versatile with their artistry and their sound. And you're right, the wise decision was not to be pure guitar driven but emotional driven. That was a very wise decision on their half.
And I think that's important. I think, like, we've said this a lot, you know, that was a very good decision, or that was very smart of them to do this. I think that's an element of their skill set they've always been really good on, is just making these good decisions. They know, or they had the foresight to see, like, what would make, what is a good decision in the music industry? Like, what should we do? And they've made, I mean, I'm sure they've made bad decisions, and, well, they've said some things that are pretty stupid. But I think musically they've made a lot of good choices that have paid off in their success. Which, that was a beautiful transition into our next segment, which is just some of the moves that have contributed to their success, and has helped them. And I think one of the first things that they did is they released a lot of EPs before their debut album. So this was like 2012. They had a few EPs, Music for Cars, 4, Face Down, and these were just EPs. And if you listen to these EPs, which I don't even know, I don't think they're streaming anymore. I think they had to take them down, but I'm sure you can find them somewhere on the internet. They exist. Yeah. A lot of the songs on these EPs, and these EPs are only like maybe 2 or 3 songs, but they are precursors to a lot of songs that they have now. So these are, like, I would say, rough drafts of a lot of the songs that are already out. Which is interesting because you get to hear a very early version of some of their biggest songs, which is cool.
Right.
But they did that to build interest, and they got a lot of interest quick before their first album even came out, which is, I mean, that's so smart because, you know, the first album comes out, you already have a huge following.
Right.
So people are either going to stream it, or 2012, I mean...
Streaming wasn't really we had Pandora, but it wasn't that massive then yet.
But were people still buying CDs in 2012? Was that a thing?
Sort of. Yeah, I think so. I remember. Yeah, I think it was definitely on its way down, but it wasn't. Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, and Pandora weren't that powerful yet, but they were growing. They were there, but they weren't that massive.
Yeah, so, yeah, just as you said. So they were on the way out. They were still being sold. But, for example, in 2012, CDs only made up 34% of all of music sales in the U.S. Yeah. The other format, which was on the rise, was streaming services.
Yeah.
So it was right at the, like you said, the tipping point. Yeah.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, they were able to build a huge following of listeners before their first album even came out, and they weren't even signed yet, so they were doing this on their own.
And I will say this: I love it when artists and bands release EPs or mixtapes or some sort of like free album to one, generate buzz, 2, to help them. You know, with like, it's also a way for them to learn what their sound is and based on how people react to the songs, they can find out which lane should they pivot to, or if they're heading in the right direction. And you're right, it's good because you can develop a very good core base, and then when you have enough of a momentum, then you can release the final project or whatever major project you were working on. And then that, you know, obviously is history. We know they did numbers. So exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, like we said, I think it was huge. They built a huge following. Songs circulated on Tumblr. Do you remember Tumblr?
Whoa, that's a throwback.
Yeah. Circulating on Tumblr.
Yeah.
YouTube and early Spotify playlists, so creating that hype. So this strategy really worked out for them because it felt like all of that hard work was already done by the time their first album came out. They weren't like backtracking, like we said. And then, after that, I mean, their debut album was a success. And I think in part because all that work had already been done. They already laid down the foundation. And then from that, they just kept reinventing their sound, refining it, while also tackling, big cultural and political themes to build interest. But again, all this to say, I think something Matt did in his songwriting that he did really well was he treated each album like its own artwork. So there would be a theme usually, or there would be some type of, whether that would be a visual theme or, a sound element theme. Each album did not sound the same. It had a different story to tell. And on top of that, behind all of this is like, yes, all this thinking and marketing is great, but they were also just a talented band.
Yes.
Because if you ever hear them, if you ever go to a show, I mean, it's great. But if you also go on YouTube and pretty much watch any live version of them, it's always a great show.
Yeah.
Like, it's just always a great show. And for example, the two most recent recordings they have, one being At Their Very Best, which was recorded at Madison Square Garden in 2022. Fantastic. And just a great live performance, but also sound-wise, it sounds great. And then they did it again. It was called At Their Very Best Still, which I think that was... Or no, At Their Very Best, the first time was 2020, and then At Their Very Best Still, I think, was 2022.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
But that was in the UK, and it's slightly different set lists. Like, some of the songs are different, and they swapped some songs, but both are fantastic shows. And I think, at the end of the day, marketing and all that is really important, but you can't stand behind it if the band actually isn't good. And
that's true.
The 1975 is just a very good band live, which kind of just completes the whole package. Like,
right,
they can do it all. So I think all of that really has led to, obviously, their success and continued momentum. And I hear that they're recording or have been recording another album. Who knows when it's coming out. I've heard whispers possibly next year. We'll see.
Okay.
We'll see.
Okay. I'm excited. I'm excited. I love their unique versatility approach to music. I love their, like, I can hear the inspirations. Like, I can hear the Prince, I can hear the R&B, I can hear a little bit of the pop punk bands of the past. I can hear a little bit of that, and it's just, the funny thing is, they're still so unique. Like, I hear it, and I hear the inspiration, but they're still like their own like lane, and I love that for them. And honestly, like 13 years, and they're still pushing the envelope. They're still experimenting, and they're still, taking their sounds to different heights. I'm eager to see what they're doing next on their next album. I'm really excited.
Well, apparently they've recorded enough material. They have been in the studio for 2 albums that they possibly might release at the same time.
No. Oh no, that's any whatever group or band that releases an album around that time. Good luck. I'm sorry. If the 1975 is dropping a dual disc album, I feel bad for everyone.
It's like, good luck. And,
Yeah.
we appreciate your effort. Thank you for coming.
Man. Yeah. We got it from here.
Right.
Oh, man. No,
We'll see.
That's amazing, though. I'm excited.
We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
So final thoughts. What are your final thoughts on the 1975?
I think they are as I said before, I really am jealous of certain people who discovered them in the beginning phases and watched their career go to where they are now. Like it's what they're wonderful sounds. I love the versatility. I love their lyrics, their message. They're going against the grain, but also at the same time they're uniquely themselves. I feel like they're like I said, I think Somebody Else is such a great. That was a song that obviously probably hooked in most people, including myself. I love that they are such a fantastic band with such unique sounds and collaborations, and I'm just excited to see what they do next. I think you said it best when you first started the episode, was that they might be considered one of the best pop punk bands of our time, and I think that's an understatement. I think that's an understatement, if I'm being very honest. Like it's just quality. I hear quality when I listen to them.
Yeah, I mean, I was kidding, but I wasn't kidding. Like they very much are the greatest pop rock band of our generation, and I will debate anybody on that.
Oh man, I love it when you own it. That was right.
So please email musicmusingspodcast@gmail.com if you disagree. I would love to.
Yeah.
We can have a chat about it.
Please
have a chat about it.
Yeah, have a conversation. Let's see. Also, let us know what's your favorite song. I want to hear your favorite song, please.
Mm-hmm.
I want to hear all these. Because for me, Somebody Else is obviously the song that got me into them. But I'm also really rocking with Robbers. I'm really rocking with that. That's really good.
So. I mean, my final thoughts here. This band has altered the pop rock world since 2012, and they've just continued to change and evolve their sound with each album. I really think this is a once in a generation type band, and I am excited to see where they go and continue to go as their sound continues to evolve or refine. We'll see. And I hope I get to see them live at some point. I've seen them once. I saw them once live at Barclays Center. And it was not, Barclay, I don't know. I'm not gonna hate on Barclay. I am a little bit. The sound there is not gold. The sound is awful there.
I've been there, but not kind of ruined it. I've never been there for a concert. I've been there before, but it was for a sports event, but not for a concert. Yeah.
Sports events, it's great. It's a great venue.
Yeah. That I never knew they were having bands and artists perform there. I wouldn't. I that's a different conversation.
So hopefully next time will be a different arena. Maybe Madison Square Garden if they ever come back again.
To the Garden. Let's go.
But I'm excited. I want to see what they do as they get older, and see if they can still do it. We'll see. And I'm interested. So
yeah.
But so thank you for listening. Really enjoyed this topic, and as always, please email us with any questions, any ideas, and we will see you next time.
Take care.
Thank you for listening to today's podcast. If you have an idea for an intro or an outro that we could play on our show, please send to musicmusingspodcast@gmail.com.
If you have any questions, comments, or ideas, please email us at musicmusingspodcast@gmail.com.